Anderson Rifles presents.
Hey y'all, welcome to Just Killing Time TV.
Hi folks, and welcome to today's show. Buck, brother, tell the folks at home where we're going today.
We're not going far, Max. Folks, we're staying here in our great state of Virginia. We're bow hunting with Duncan Hawthorne and cameraman Jerry Crisp down in Bedford County, Virginia.
Hey, you know, folks, you watch today's show, and then we got some footage next week of Jerry too. You watch it and you'll see why we're changing his name. My daddy always called him Jerry Dryhole Crisp. I'm changing his name to Jerry Buck Fever Crisp. Watch the action and you'll see exactly why.
Now let's join Duncan and Jerry as they slip into a stand site between a wildlife perfect food plot and a bedding area hoping to catch some deer moving. No matter where or when you hunt whitetail deer, folks, scent control is the A1 most important thing. If you can't control your scent, every deer in the country is going to know you're there. And Duncan and Jerry take some time to stop and spray down their boots and spray some surrounding trees with not only some cover scent, but some estrus doe urine to try and fool any deer that might cross their path.
Hey folks, we're hunting in Bedford County today during the last week of early archery season. Muzzleloader comes in on Saturday, so we're taking advantage of the quiet woods. It's a little windy and cool out today, so we made sure to spray down plenty of BTD cover scent. There are several rubs and scrapes on the way in here that we freshened up with some BTD Sugar Bay. We got a swirly wind, so we're just hoping for the best with that. But we got a couple of wildlife perfect food plots up here on the other side of these oaks, so we're hoping to catch these deer feeding on the acorns coming through. So we're just gonna settle in and see what happens.
About an hour later, Duncan hears a commotion up on the side of the ridge, and when he looks up, guess what he sees? After giving that cedar bush the once-over, this buck starts down the trail heading closer to Duncan's stand. Keep in mind, folks, that Duncan's never had the opportunity to take a buck with his bow.
Did you see that fire knock go off across there? That's awesome.
Was it a little back or a little far? He's not down yet.
He's down.
He just went down?
Yeah, he's down. He's down about 50 yards that way.
I just had him in the video. He took 2 steps and I thought he was walking off.
No, he laid down. All right, he's laid down looking right at us.
Okay.
After reviewing the footage, Duncan realizes he hits a deer just a touch back. Once they realize the deer's hit a little far back, they decide to slip out after dark and wait till morning to try to do the recovery.
And he's bedded down right there. Wait till it gets dark. Go down, we'll leave the stands on the tree. And then sneak out. We might bump him, I hope not. And then I'll take the camera and the bow with us, but we'll leave everything else here. Okay.
Folks, you just saw me shoot my first video buck, my first buck with a bow on my favorite farm ever. The fire knock told the story. We hit a little far back, but we saw the deer bed like 40 yards from us. So we snuck down out of a tree. We was able to get out of there real quiet because of the wind. Just me. Be back with us tomorrow morning. We're gonna find this deer. Boy, have I got a story for you. When you last saw us, we were at my truck talking about, we had reviewed the footage where the fire knock hit that deer. We thought it was a little far back, so we had to back out. But what you didn't see was right after that, the camera got ran over by a truck. So it's completely busted, and we went in, we recovered the deer this morning. We knew we had to do that, but we got in touch with Hody, and Hody agreed to bring his camera out here so we could do a post-interview of what had happened. This is my first buck with a bow, and I know in many minds it may not be a trophy, but I hunted long and hard to finally get to this point and take this deer. I am so very proud right now. I finally got over that hump.
Max, hey, that was a nice little buck Duncan shot. I'd have been tickled with it for my first bow kill.
Absolutely. Folks, that's what it's about. First deer with the bow. Yeah, it wasn't a monster in size, but it was a monster in memories. And that's what a trophy is, folks. It's the memory it creates. It's not necessarily the size of the animal. Isn't it right,
That's right, man. Trophy's in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly.
And I'd have been tickled. Hey, what about Jerry and that cameraman? What happened? What did he do now?
Folks, he had the camera in the back, had a trailer hook behind the vehicle. He got excited about what was going on. Some other things happened. He got a phone call, forgot about the camera, runs over it with a trailer that's hooked behind the truck. I tell you, Buck, that boy could tear up a steel anvil with a toothpick.
Man, we're gonna have to get him a set of boxing gloves or something for Christmas when he's handling equipment.
Got to be extra big. You ever seen them big old hands that boy got? Folks, stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Our Anderson No Lube AR-15 is built with pride in the USA, right here in Hebron, Kentucky. Our 30,000 square foot facility has the latest in computerized manufacturing. Only Anderson rifles have RF85 that reduces friction 85%, never needs oiling, and cleans up with soap and water. Anderson quality control is second to none. The Anderson AR-15, the world's only no lube rifle.
Well, Max, what's up next, man?
Hey, man. Folks, back in Bedford County, this time, Mr. Jerry Crisp, AKA Buck Fever Crisp, has got the smoke pole in his hand. He's by himself in a pop-up blind on a dreary, rainy November morning. Let's see what happens and see if he can get it done. My money's on the deer, Buck. I know, Jerry.
I gotta agree with you, man.
I hear you, buddy.
Now, old Jerry been telling me that he'd been seeing a lot of deer activity on one of his Bedford properties. And after seeing this footage, folks, I know for a fact that he was not exaggerating in the least. Now, we've all heard the old saying that the deer just seem to come out of the woodwork. Well, folks, I think the old fellow that coined that phrase must have been sitting in the stand this particular morning with old Buck Fever Crisp. Daddy always said, boy, some of the nastiest weather you can imagine is some of the best times to be out in the woods. Folks, what you're about to see is definitely proof of that.
I had so many deer on me so quick this morning that I was just having to let the camera run. And most everything is crossing from the wildlife perfect food plot. We've got clover over here, about 4 years running now, and about 200 yards straight to our south. And he was crossing over, and he was right behind a doe, and I couldn't tell what he was, but we're gonna wrap this camera up and go down and check out and see what he is. Boy, I am stoked. No, I'm not disappointed with this one at all. When I pulled the trigger, I wasn't quite sure what he was. I think these dark antlers just didn't show up. I haven't checked the footage yet, but we've been pounding this road hard. I guess over the last 3 days we've seen, I can't even tell you how many deer have crossed back and forth, small bucks. Haven't seen a shooter all week long, but my buddy Jason saw him dogging does in the field about 7:30 yesterday morning, I guess it was. So I watched the Wildlife Perfect Clover last night, saw 20 come into it. What, 11th, 12th of November it is? Man, I'm soaking wet, he's soaking wet. My glasses are fogged, my gun is dripping. It's gonna need a great cleaning before I put it in the truck heading to Illinois tomorrow, man. I've gotta thank Max and Buck, always. And I had the Sugar Babe. I freshened some scrapes coming in this morning, and the Wildlife Perfect. Again, I mean, if put me in, coach, I'm ready to play, because that you've just got to put it in the ground to see what it is. Oh man, let's get him out of here, man.
Max, I tell you what, that was a pretty nice buck Jerry killed down there in Bedford.
That was a nice buck.
We got nice deer in Virginia, period, but they got some exceptional deer in Bedford.
Some of the better counties in the state. But you know what that hunt that we just watched is an example of?
What's that?
A miracle, folks. That means God is good and it's a miracle. And anytime Jared Crisp goes out by himself on camera and gets a kill on film, I consider it a blessing and a miracle.
Hey, Jerry, also, like Max has told me before, he knows how you take care of your equipment. So we're going to send you a bottle of Cleansol. Make sure you keep your gun cleaned up, because we know after that rain, it needs a good cleaning.
Definitely. Use the Cleansol, clean the gun, and it'll work for you, because it does. Jerry, as you know, it works great. However, the only thing I ask, brother, and this is for Jerry Crisp only, folks, when we send this bottle down to you, Jerry, God bless you, don't back over with the truck, okay? We can't afford to keep sending them down before you keep tearing stuff up, brother. We love you. Folks, stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
This Anderson rifle shot 5,000 rounds without a drop of oil.
We're gonna clean it Anderson style. I think she's clean.
Anderson rifles never need oiling and clean up with soap and water. The Anderson rifle, the world's only no-lube rifle.
Folks, welcome back to the show. Buck, if I ain't mistaken, what we're about to see next is a little trip that you and Jerry took out to Western Kentucky. Am I correct?
Yeah. We had some highs and some lows this next hunt, man.
You had old buck fever with you. That's what happened, brother.
Hey, it's one of my favorite spots in the country to hunt, though, man, out at Deer Haven. Let's just get right into the action, man.
Hey, only thing I'll say, folks, before we roll the footage, is I got cell phone updates, and every time my cell phone rang, Buck was crying on the other end of the phone.
To say that Buck and Jerry were excited when they pulled into Barlow, Kentucky to meet Brett Wilson, owner of Deer Haven, was definitely an understatement.
Hey, what you gonna do, buddy?
you have a good trip?
Oh, yeah. Long trip, but we're ready to roll.
They unpacked their bags, jumped into the ATV with Brett, and headed out for their first evening's hunt.
Come on, back. Bottom? Yeah. Run that dough up across the river? Yeah.
We're in western Kentucky. First evening of our hunt, everybody in camp saw bucks chasing does this morning. Just ain't quite what they're looking for. One guy saw one that he let slip by him, but the chase is on. And I think this week, me and Jerry's gonna hit it just right. We're sitting out here in it's a picked cornfield. Got winter wheat coming up, but they had a bad storm come through. You ought to see the corn laying on the ground. It got knocked down. If that don't draw the deer out of these ravines and these draws, I don't know what will. And I told Jerry, and he believes me now, Brett's got the habitat, he's got the food, and he's got the deer. So we're gonna sit back in the blind here this evening, and we're gonna hope something happens. Yeah, they're heading back in that back corner. I saw a few back in there last year.
As usual, when you hunt down at Deer Haven, folks, it didn't take Buck and Jerry long at all to start seeing some deer activity.
I'm gonna get straight over there, towards the cabin.
Yeah, I've got that deer. I thought that deer was dead. That's the one I said pretty good out there.
Oh, he's a rack buck. If he turns his head, I can see how wide he is.
Yeah, just went by the tree.
Yeah, he's a rack buck. He's about almost ear width.
Very nice. Everybody looking back. But Mama's looking hard. Look right here for two more.
Do what?
There's two more. That's four deer right here. 5.
As the evening wore on, more and more deer made their way out into the cut cornfield.
I don't know if we could hurt him from that far.
Yeah, that's him. That's it, bro. That deer's bigger than his bike, bro.
I'm trying to see if he got I look like a cowhorn spike when he first went across this one earlier. I can't see any tines coming off.
Put it up. Yeah, he's got big beams.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was a cowhorn. He's got tines that are short.
Unfortunately for Buck and Jerry, one of the big boys that they were hoping to see never showed themselves before last light.
Buck, one thing I can say about Deer Haven, Brett and Sharon down there in Barlow, Kentucky, folks, they have managed this property to make it one of the elite whitetail properties I've ever seen.
Hey, you don't have to tell me. I've hunted there 2 years. I've seen bucks galore. I tell you, Brett and Sharon have it going on. They got the habitat. I mean, the food is there, the cover. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to this whole week.
Are you going to get it done this week?
Well, you just got to sit back and watch, man.
Definitely watch this, folks.
Yeah, that ain't a bad deer. That ain't a bad deer. That's not a shooter, but that's a good deer. Call it that. Call it deer. Oh, that's pretty.
You got to be asking yourself, what am I looking at? What is this mess? One of the largest rifle distributors in the country pitted the Anderson rifle against one of the top leading brands in a shootout. The leading gun was prepped thoroughly, cleaned and lubricated to perfection. The Anderson rifle was cleaned, but stripped of all lubrication. It was fired completely dry. This is only possible because the Anderson was treated with RF85, the permanent treatment that reduces friction 85%. The rifles were fired as fast as humanly possible. In less than an hour, the leading brand rifle failed at 900 rounds. An hour went by. Then 2. Then 3. The Anderson kept firing. After 4 hours, the red-hot gun cooked rounds off. No trigger was needed. Finally, the grip caught on fire. After 4,238 rounds and still firing, with the gun on fire, they called it quits. They couldn't get the Anderson to fail. This is that rifle. Look at these close-ups. This Anderson rifle shows absolutely no wear. Can your rifle do this? It can if it's an Anderson. RF85 makes it run with 85% less friction, 23% faster action, never needs oiling, and cleans up with soap and water. The Anderson rifle, the world's only no-lube rifle.
Max, what do you think about what shows up on the first morning of our first full day hunting out there at Deer Haven?
Buck, you remember that old Cajun from Louisiana used to do that cooking show? His favorite word when something exciting happened, woo-wee! And that's all I can say, folks. That is a stud. I hope that you getting ready to wrap your hands around them antlers. Son.
Well, you just got to wait the next week, folks. I don't know where that 30 minutes went, but man, it just flew by.
You're not going to, man, you're not
going to wait the next week to see what happens.
Man.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. But folks, before we leave this week, we just want to say, you ever get the opportunity to take a young person hunting, fishing, introduce them to the great outdoors, it can be an experience that both your lifetimes, as me and Max has learned many times.
Absolutely. And one thing, folks, I'm going to tell you before we leave, if you ever get the opportunity to hunt with old Jerry Buck Fever Crisp, AKA Jerry Dryhole Crisp, don't let him drive, because he probably going to run over something.
Well, I drove all the way to and from Kentucky.
I don't blame it all. Folks, that's all the time we have. Until next week, we'll see you on the mountain.